Alright, so let me show you how to make a loop in the style of Yungeen, Quando Rondo, Lil Durk, anyone that fucks with the simple pain loops. And yeah, I'm gonna get straight to it. So this is our loop. Alright, so there's not that much going on. It's just a few instruments and then miscellaneous sounds in between. So I started off with this simple chord progression. Now some of these chords might look kind of weird, but they're all just like minor triads with either like extra notes on top or just spread out. So we go to this first chord. This looks kind of big, right? But this is just a minor triad with another E on top, and the G is just pushed over here a bit. This chord also looks massive, but if you bring this down an octave, it's just a C major triad, which is like one of the most basic chords. So don't let the shapes fool you. My advice is just to space out your chords a lot and just play around with distances between your notes. So just draw out a basic minor triad and then maybe put this up here or put this up here like I did. Just mess around with shit. So the bass line that I made for my chord progression looks like this. And so once I drew that out, I just built each of those notes into chords. So you see I got my E here, F sharp, G, B, and C. That's my bass line. And then I just turned each of those into chords. And like I said, I just spaced them out a lot. Like this chord here, I don't even know what this is, but I think it's the A that's there, yeah. So I just moved that up. And then this one I kept regular. I just pushed this B over here. And then this, I just took the F sharp up an octave and layered it on top of the other one, just for some more space. And you can see I'm adding like little accent notes or like this roll here, just like for some flavor, you know. And also you want to play around with the velocities. You see not all my notes is just a straight line of notes in the same velocity. It kind of varies throughout. And so once I had this first half, in this half I just put like a little more accent notes or just higher accent notes. So see here I had the roll from G up to A, and then here I put it from A up to B, just for a little bit of variation, but it's still the same thing. So that's something that I always like to do. Like without a top line, I still like to have some sort of like inner melody going in my chord progression. Keeping all that in mind, this is the chord progression again. And now I'm gonna break down the top line. So this is what that sounds like. Now the reason that these notes is like really short and like not entirely quantized properly is because I played this pattern in with my keyboard. So like that's why the notes is kind of like random shapes, but I feel like that kind of gives it a more human feel to it, as opposed to like if these were all the same length and they were like perfectly on beat. It kind of sounds a little robotic, you know. If you don't have a keyboard, just like click in random shapes and like don't be so like fixated on keeping them perfect and everything. Just keep a little bit of error in there. It makes it sound more human. And all I'm doing is just playing the E minor scale. If you look at the shape, it's kind of like straight downwards. Every now and then I'll go back up a little bit. So you see here, I went to the A and I rolled up, and then I came back down. Just turn your scale highlighting on and just start clicking, man. This note, this A sharp, you see it's out of key, but it sounds really good. That's what's called the blue note, also known as the flat 5 in the scale. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna find the 5th degree in your minor scale, which in our case is B, and then so the flat B flat would be this note right here. So that's how you find your jazz note in your minor scale. You just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you flatten that 5th degree, and there you go. And you don't want to stay on this note. You see when I use it, it's very short. It's just going, I'm using it to go from one note to the other, but it gives it like a little spicy feel to it. Very soulful. And then down here, these notes ended up harmonizing, which sound really nice. So that's another thing I'd recommend you do, is put some harmonies in your top line, also known as just combining notes that are spaced apart, and it ends up sounding really nice. And again, just keeping with the velocity. I mean, the velocity was already varied because I played it in, and when you play it in, sometimes you end up hitting some of the keys harder than the other ones, whether it be on purpose or not. Yeah, just make sure your velocities are not all the same, because that's gonna make it sound even more robotic. Piano I'm using is the Grandeur. I just turned it a bit on the hard side. And for effects, I just put some Valhalla reverb on it, and then just an EQ and boosted the highs a tiny bit. And then also down here I cut the lows on the EQ, so there's no like bass in it, to make space for our bass guitar and our other instruments. So once I had that, I just copied the chord progression without the top line into a pad from Expand. This just fills up a little bit of the space in the atmosphere of our loop. And this pad is the Intimate Takeover pad from Expand. I think it's in the soft pad section. Yeah, right there. And I just EQ'd it so that I only just wanted like a small part of it, because it had some like uglier frequencies in it that I didn't really like. And then I just put my favorite reverb from Valhalla Supermassive, the Reverb 2000, right here. I forgot to mention, for the piano, I also put it into stereo a little bit. So just using this knob here, I just cranked it outwards a little bit. That just makes it fill up more space and gives it more of a presence. So the next thing I did was add this wah pattern. I found this in Exclusive and Medusa's drum kit Cold Killers right here. I highly recommend you get this drum kit. There's great sounds for like BR beats and shit like that. And so I just put this on stereo a little bit just to separate it from the piano, so they're not like colliding, so they each like have their own space in the mix. And I just EQ'd it so that there was no low end in it, put some reverb on it to give it like a different feel, and then I just pitched it up into key, which was only 100, because I think by default it was in D sharp and our loop is in E, so I just needed to keep it in key. I also added this wah, also from Cold Killer's drum kit, and this one. And the final wah I added was the strum wah. I think I just put some reverb on that. Yeah, and then I cut out the lows. And so for the remaining instruments, I got this, I think it's a muted trumpet. Yeah, it's a muted trumpet from Session Horns Pro. And I just put some reverb on it, and then some skinny eighth delay just to, I don't know, thought it sounded good. I just put that right before like the drop into the bass and shit. Just adds a little extra texture, just like a little lick at the end. And now onto this lead guitar. This is what the pattern sounds like. I played this in with my keyboard as well, and then I went back afterwards and I just drew in these like pitch bend things, so it makes it sound like you're bending the strings on a guitar and you're giving it like vibrato, which just makes it sound a whole lot better. Than it sounds so plain without. This is the Razor pick from Evolution Infinity. and I just put some EQ to cut out the lows, reverb just to give it more space, and then at the end there where it goes really high, there were some frequencies that were like hurting my ears, so I just went and cut those out with a surgical EQ. The main thing you want to do with these leads is keep them simple. So you see there's really not many notes in there, like it's all from this G to this E here. It does, like, there's no other notes, and I stay on some notes for a long time. So the main thing with these patterns is simplicity. You just want to keep them nice and short and simple. You don't want to try to do too much, because then it's just going to sound way too crowded, especially if it's clashing with your other instruments. And then finally, last but not least, we got this bass pattern. I don't even gotta say, this is just following the piano bass line, and then I just put some little accent notes here and there, or like a little riff. This is the Rickenbacker bass from Contact, and for effects I just put this EQ on it. I just go to mastering, and then 40 hertz plus 18k hertz cut. I don't know, it just makes it sound really good. And then for some other random sounds, we got the crash, this fill, and then just this little riser thing. So all together, we got this. Hey, yeah man, that's it. I hope I explained everything in detail enough. If you got any questions, make sure to leave any in the comments, or DM me on Instagram. It's final season soon, so this is probably my last video for like the next month or so, but I'm gonna be back, I promise. And yeah, that's it for this video. I'm gonna see you on the next one. Peace.